We about ready to get going here? It's 1 o'clock. We have an appointment. Hello, hello. How are you?
Hello.
Let's everybody get situated and we'll get going on time. Is it okay if we get out of here early today?
No, we want
You guys?
to get our money's
Yes.
worth.
You can get your money's worth? I have a tendency not to take the whole 2 hours, so we'll see. If there's questions, ask them. Pretty laid back today. Let's get situated and we'll get going. Welcome to Ignite, everyone. Thank you for coming. Who here is a returnee to Ignite? Are we all rookies? Rookies, all right. This is a new Ignite, so everybody's pretty much a rookie. We ready to get started? Why are we here? How many of you have achieved your financial goals in your career so far? Anybody? That's why we're here. Definitely want to achieve our financial goals. Now, keep in mind that any of the business that we do pretty much from mid-August out is going to be 2017.
Really?
Yeah, because you're going to have 45 to 60 days to close some of these deals. So some of this business that we're doing, unless you have a cash deal or something like that, you're actually building upon next year's business. A lot of the big teams right now are ramping up. They're done. Because their fiscal year will be August to August. It's hard to get some of these things closed coming to the end of the year. As we start to wind down, title companies are going to slow down because of holidays. We have Thanksgiving, we have Christmas, we have New Year's, so there's going to be a lot of breaks coming into the end of the year. So keep that in mind, that a lot of the business that you're doing right now that may or may not be in contract may be 2017's business.
So is that across the industry or just in Michigan?
No, across the industry. A basic mortgage closes in about 45 to 60 days right now. Yeah. So keep that in mind, that if you're counting on it this year, it'll probably fall either towards the end or next year.
That's even conventional?
Conventional can be a little bit quicker, but with appraisals and TRID now, you have 72 hours before you can close. Paperwork has to be out in 72 hours, and it changes in those 72 hours. So,
Gotta love trip.
yeah, gotta love when people are helping us, right?
Yeah.
All right, so why we're here? We haven't hit our numbers. We need to hit our numbers. So that's what we're going to try to work on. What is the one thing a real estate agent can do more successfully than others? So what is the one thing a real estate agent must do successfully? Prospecting, right? Prospecting. That's the first thing we have to do is prospect. Have to. Why is that?
Get clients. They're not coming looking for us.
They're not. Absolutely. So the one thing we have to do is be disciplined. Can somebody read this on the board for me?
You chose Keller Williams as the vehicle to reach your goals. Ignite helps you build the momentum to get you there fast.
John Davis. Pretty impressive stuff. Not too far. So, what are the two things as real estate agents we have to do every day? Number one, somebody give it to me.
Lead generation.
Lead generation, absolutely. What does lead generation look like to everybody?
Phone calls, letters, door knocking.
Okay, anybody else? You need to start time blocking. Has everybody got a calendar with their time blocks set up for their lead gen? Everybody wants it.
You know.
No, okay. So let's start there. Let's get a calendar set where we dedicate 9 to 11 every day to lead generation. It's tough. You're working a day job, right? So what would your lead generation look
Well, I did a calendar Sunday,
like?
did a full calendar, and I saved it and I shared it with my mentor, but I went someplace in cyberspace. Anyhow, I blocked from 6 to 8 in the evening.
Okay. So after dinner, right? Right. Maybe 9 to 11 isn't for everybody. Maybe you're going to do your lead generation on lunch hours. Maybe you're gonna do one in the morning, one in the afternoon, maybe one in the evening, however you're gonna break it up. Whatever you do, put at least 2 hours a day in lead gen, minimum, every day. What are we actually here to do? What is the simple secret? We're in sales, right? Our livelihood is based around sales. If we aren't lead generating, they're not coming to us. We're in the business of real estate. Change your mindset, change your focus, you'll be in the service business. You chose Keller Williams to achieve your goals, so use what tools we give you. What we're going to go through today, does anybody have any questions on lead gen? Does anybody think that they can't do lead gen? For any reason?
Not doing it isn't an option.
Let's say I said no.
Well, what would be the biggest hurdle for you to do lead gen?
No, I can do
You can
it,
do
but
it?
I'm saying, yeah, no, I can do it. I know I can do it.
Get in the
But
right
let's say
mindset,
somebody, I
right?
said
Just
no.
getting in the right mindset, getting your game face on.
Getting
no matter
yourself
what.
prepared.
Yeah, mentally preparing yourself and just going at it. Just smile and dial and just keep doing what you know.
Has anybody been through bold in here? Oh, okay. What do we say in bold? What is the one thing you have to do every day besides, we know it's lead generation? It's eat the frog, right? Do the hardest thing you have on your list first. Hence your day gets better as it goes on.
Right.
And if lead gen, getting told no 25 times a day, is the hardest thing you do, you get it out of the way first.
Sure.
Because your mindset, when you wake up in the morning, prove a fact, you're more likely. Has anybody heard of the 6 perspectives?
Say again?
The 6 perspectives. Has anybody ever seen the 6 perspectives?
Yeah.
This is actually a class you could take at Family Reunion by itself. It's a great class. Gary Keller says in his top 25, these are the top 25 agents in Keller Williams, right? The best of the best. In his top 25, he found one thing that is across the board with all of them. The difference between those who achieve at the highest level and those who do not is the ones that achieve go into a purpose. So lead generation is the one thing that they do every day with purpose. Does that make sense? So we're going to go down the 6 perspectives. This is one of my favorite things. When I was on a team, we used to teach us as our orientation, 6 perspectives. The first of the 6 perspectives, self-mastery. When you commit to achieving self-mastery, what are you committing to? Number 1 would be know your goals. Does everybody here know their goals? Pete, what's your goals?
My goal is to make sure that I'm hitting my number, which is, well, I can't share that, but,
Why not? You can't tell the world what you do, then how does the world know what you do?
my goal is to hit $1 million worth of sales per month.
How many units? 4 units?
4 units.
Anybody else have a goal? That they know their goal. Rob, what's yours?
My goal right now is just to get first sale, so.
Is that a high enough goal?
No.
One of the things that we want to say is if your goal is not laughable, it's too low. So is one house laughable?
Well, I'm not saying my goal is one house. I'm saying I want that first sale.
You want your first kill. But we have to have a road plan beyond the first kill. Because after you get your first kill, then what do you do?
Well, I keep going. I mean, if you look at my actual goals, my goal is, 6 or 7 houses a month easily.
Okay.
I
That's a good goal.
said I wanted, when I wrote down the paper, what I wanted to make it this year. I think I wrote 6 million. But
But what? Why not?
no, it's not.
Why not you?
It's not.
You can do it. So, know your goals. Write down your goals. What does Gary Keller say? If it's not written down, it doesn't exist, right? everybody has to have their goals. Please write your goals down. Remember, you're basically in practice till 2017. Because when we turn 2017 back on, everybody's up and running there. Anybody sitting in this room. Number 2, for self-mastery, know your strengths and weaknesses. Does everybody know what they're really good at and what they're really bad at? The hardest part to reflect that is what you're really bad at. Play to your strengths. If you're really, really good in open houses and really, really bad on the phone, you might want to focus on doing more open houses than you do phone, or vice versa. You're really, really good on the phone, but you don't want a door knock. Okay? We all don't want a door knock. We all don't do certain things. Get to what you do the best and achieve on that. That's self-mastery. Know how to work with both your strengths and weaknesses, is what we just talked about, and seek mastery. Does anybody know what mastery is? What is the definition of mastery?
No, you're right inside and out. Your math.
10,000 hours.
10,000 hours. Exactly.
10,000
Right there.
Yeah. If you do something for 10,000 hours, you've achieved mastery. And this was a study done, I believe it was Yale, I'm not real sure, where they took musicians and found out when they became masters. It was 10,000 hours practicing that particular instrument that made them masters. So whatever that happened to be. Pretty interesting stuff. Does anybody have any questions on setting their goals? Comparing them to your skill level. We also need to set habits. What is a habit? Something we do every day. It's a habit. Every day you get up in the morning, you brush your teeth, you make coffee, whatever you do. That's a habit. And it takes you 90 days in order to form one habit. 90 days. So if you lead generate for a straight 90 days, and we learned this in bold, you'll have achieved your habit. What happens if you break one day when you're achieving a habit? You start over. You start over, another 90 days. Yeah. So in bold, we actually have a calendar of a habit that we want to form. Every day. Now, lead generation on Sunday is a little tough because you start calling people on Sunday, they get a little upset. But I can pretty much tell you, if you took those 12 Sundays up, you probably had a habit if you're doing it 6 days a week. That make sense to everybody? So we want to set our schedule for our lead gen. We need to figure out what our strengths and weaknesses are. Be honest with yourself. We want to work with those strengths and weaknesses, and we want to create habits. If we form good habits, we're going to form a good work ethic, we're going to form a good client base. We're going to keep moving. Any questions on self-mastery? Now, notice how it says self-mastery. No one can help you with this. You have to create this by yourself. Okay? Who knows what the 80-20 rule is? I love this one.
80% of the people do 20% of the work in an organization.
Close. The idea is that 20% of your actions lead to 80% of the results of your goal. So 20% of what I do every day is going to be 80% of what I achieve moving forward. That's why we say if you have 10 things to do, there's only 2 things. There's 10 things to do, there's only 2 things that are very important. Lead generation, right? You said that again. And getting in front of people and selling them a house or listing a house. Those are the only 2 things. So in Ignite, we identify your 20% for you, and you're making money in your activity, which is lead gen. If you start to move forward and you start to find yourself doing, let's say you're under contract for 4, 5, 6 different people, you're 6 a month, right? You're at the point in time where you have to leverage. You're going to need to find somebody to help you do those $10 or $12 an hour jobs that aren't producing anything. So this 80-20 rule moves forward as your business moves forward. You may find that as a strong listing agent, you need buyer's agents in order to take care of your listings. or maybe show listing, or show other houses for you, do your open houses, those type of things. Very important that we identify our top 20%. Does everybody in here know what their top 20% is? Does anybody not know? It's lead gen. Lead gen, lead gen. I'm going to say that till nauseam, aren't I? So, we always have to accomplish the 80-20 rule. 20% of what I do now pays the bills for 80% of everything else. It's the easiest way of looking at it. Any questions on the 80-20? Once you're finished. The E and the P. Who knows what the E and the P is?
Entrepreneur and purposeful.
Yeah, we're all entrepreneurial, right? We're all sick. So, what's the difference between E and the P?
I believe that everybody is an entrepreneur, but to move to P, you have to have purpose,
Yep.
essentially makes everything easier.
That's it. We have to have purpose. That's your big why. That was perfect. Nice job. Thank you. The E and the P. We all have entrepreneurial skills. We decided we want to go into business for ourselves. So we decided to do that. But there's always going to be that ceiling. So because we can take it to that ceiling, sometimes we have to bounce back down. We bounce back down. Bounce back down. Well, there's that one bounce that we go over the top, where we actually hit our we hit our goals. We decide that we're going to put 6 contracts out there this month. We broke through that ceiling, right? This is into the purpose. But what happens after we break through the ceiling? There's no more ceiling, it's a floor. Now you have to raise the bar. Absolutely. So this is the difference between the E and the P. Everybody can live down here. Because what do they tell us in bold? Success is simple, not easy. Right? You can look at how to do this at a high level, and it looks easy. When you actually dive into it, not so easy. This is the best achievement you're ever going to feel when you break through that E and the P. Ignite's here to help you start that change, but it's up to you to inflict that breakthrough. We're always looking for the most purposeful way. By doing this, we break through our natural behavior. So, who's our biggest enemy?
We are.
We are. Right? So we have to learn to beat ourselves, which is sometimes hard to do, because we can always find an excuse for why we should be doing it the other way. Or, woe is me. There's always some excuse. That's why we always like to say that when you're prospecting at home, there's always a distraction. There might be another load of laundry, or maybe you wanted to finish up the movie you were watching last night. And a lot of times we'll tell ourselves that we'll prospect for 2 more hours tomorrow. Who's done that? I can tell you I haven't. Because when I push it off, I don't do it. Yeah, well, if you do it, great. I mean, you're staying on purposeful, right? You have a purpose to what you're doing. I have to be in a realm like this where there's other people that hold me accountable. I need somebody to make sure that they're watching me so that I do what I have to do. Not watch whatever movie it is that I watch. Any questions on the E and the P? Number 4, learning based. What is learning based? Training and education, what you're doing right now. Always stay learning based. This company was formed on learning based. We always are learning. There's always a new way. We just got introduced to new KPA, which is a personal, we used to call it the AVA. Now we call it the KPA. And it's a personality analysis. Keller Williams personality analysis. This company has been based on learning-based since they've been open. We always find a better way to do what we do. There's always that new mousetrap. There's always that new way of doing things, because if we're not moving forward, we're dying. Isn't that what Diana tells us in Bold? The difference between a grave and a path is 6 feet. That's it. If you're not walking that path, you're laying in that grave.
It's grim.
That's true.
Well, we'll start off with that. Appreciate it.
So we want to be learning based. I recommend everybody takes as many of these classes that you can. The reason you came to Keller Williams is to learn. There's a way smarter people than all of us put together that have done this, failed, and figured out how to do it right. Let's just do what they do. Steal what they have. This is what we need to do. Any questions on learning based? That was pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah, no, it's a good prep.
Yeah. The path to the grave.
Yeah, doing great.
What is no limited beliefs?
Like mine, I'm just waiting for that one, get rid of it.
Yeah. That sounded like it had some walls to it, didn't it?
Yep. When you voice it out loud, yeah. When you're thinking inside, it's a different story.
And that's why we have to be in classes like this, because sometimes it has to hurt a little bit to realize what your real goals are. What would a limited belief system be in real estate?
Part-time, if that.
Part-time, maybe. What else? This is an all play, guys. Give me something.
Like, I can't get that listing, it's not my
Right.
market.
How about that price point's a little out of my league,
Right.
right? I've never sold a $500,000 house. I've never sold $1 million house. I can't do that. Why not?
Well, I got a question for you, being that you're on this topic. Let's say you have an individual that's at Keller Williams that's listing a property, right? And you are channeling in every possible direction to acquire business, whether from a listing or from a buying perspective. Just off the wall, let's say you do have somebody that works at Keller, they're listing the property, but you promote that same property only to acquire buyers for that actual listing agent, but you're also promoting it with your own advertisement. Is that possible? Can you do that, or is there a limit to that?
There is, but if you talk to that listing agent, I would highly doubt they would say, don't promote my property. But just as ethics, I would probably want to talk to that listing agent and say, this is.
Right, no, sure, of course, you wouldn't just do it behind,
Right.
hey, I'm gonna do this, there's nothing you're gonna say about it, but I'm just saying in general, just to expand your sphere, if you will, to acquire a buyer for that listing agent.
I think it's a great idea.
Yeah.
Because as new agents, we're limited to what we can do. We can't go out and just buy the business, right?
Mhm.
So we have to find different routes in order to do that. Hence, we do open houses for a lot of the big listing agents.
Right.
When I was first starting out, I would do an open house every weekend. I like to do them between 12 and 3 so that I can set showings from 3 to 6.
Right on,
Because I didn't have business. I didn't have anybody helping me. So I would grab whatever open house that I wanted, because at that point I could cherry pick the open houses that I wanted.
That's a good leveraging point, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, we're all in business together, right? We're all co-ops. So we don't have to just take any lousy open house that's on 1,000 days on the market. We can cherry pick the ones we want.
Right.
We want the newest, freshest, best way of generating business. And you want to try to keep your open houses from, say, 200,000 to just maybe below 400,000, depending on the neighborhood. Because when we start looking at 400,000 plus in an open house, you're going to find out that these people usually have their own agents. Where the 2 to 400,000 are driving the neighborhoods.
Right on.
And we're not going to do an open house just to look pretty. We're doing an open house to get business. We want to get listings out of that, and we want to get buyers out of that. Don't ever look at an open house that you're not going to get listings. Because the people in the neighborhood are looking at you because you work. You're the one standing in the open house working,
Right.
not the listing agent. They see their name flying, but they don't see them there.
Right.
Keep that in mind too. It's a good question. You don't have to be an expert in everything. What do we do best as real estate agents?
Prospecting.
Leverage?
Leverage, well, we gather information, right? How many people have been through a buyer side and you're walking through and they say, how's the furnace? Because we printed the disclosures, we know. You don't live in the house, you don't know how old the furnace is. But we gather information. So we definitely don't want to be experts. We don't want to be experts in everything. Because we're learning based, we'll go find the answer. See, learning based isn't always creating the best for us. It could be learning based, figuring out what our client wants. Can I put up a fence in this neighborhood? How many times have we run into that? I don't know. But I'll get back to you, right? I'll call the HOA, I'll call the city. I'll find out. That's learning based. Does that make sense? Is this lot next door buildable? I don't know. I'll get back to you. What's that assessment for on the disclosures? Very rarely have I ever had anybody look at me like, what do you mean you don't know? You're fired. Never happens. They're always going to wait for the information. But because of that, we have to close the loop, right? Does everybody know what the loop is? We start something, so we have a question. We get the answer, and then we follow back around to make sure that there's no questions from our client. It's called closing the loop. So we do something, or we're asked to do something. We do it, and we make sure that they're satisfied that we did it right. Very, very important. That's the one way you're going to keep your clients happy forever, is by following back around and saying, was there any questions? Are you satisfied? Back to, they'll never tell you, quit over following up. Would you quit being such a good agent? They're never going to tell you that. So don't be afraid of that. I can't be successful yet. I need to invest a lot of money and kickstart my real estate career. Does that make any sense to anybody? I can't be successful right now because I have to invest a lot of money in this real estate career.
That's the reason to be successful.
Yeah, I think we got to get our real estate career going. Anything else on learning based that anybody might want to add to that?
Learning base or limiting?
Learning based.
Oh, we're unlimited.
We're on limiting. Sorry, we were. Limited belief system. That's right. Kick back into the learning base.
We've been learning how to follow down.
Yeah. I consistently have business. I will have to consistently go after it, and I can't afford not to lead generate. That should be our answer to lead generation every time. I consistently have business. I cannot afford not to lead generate. Limited belief system would be the other way. I don't have any business. I don't know why I'm doing this. Well, no, I have business, and I can't afford to give it up. So we always want to lead generate. And this is where I told you that if you're lead generating from home, sometimes it doesn't work. This is where coming into the office does help. Accountability. Who are you accountable to? Who in here actually has lead generation partners or scripting partners? Who's on the team here? Anybody on the team? All right. You guys obviously have scripting partners,
Yeah.
right? And you're doing this every morning?
Yeah.
Okay. Real important that you do find somebody to do this with. I'm going to put you on the spot and hope you don't mind. How does that work out for you?
I mean, it really helps out. It helps like to get your focus in the morning. And as silly as it sounds, just going over the same thing over and over makes it way more confident and fun.
So we talked about the 6 perspectives. The self-mastery, that's a habit, right?
Mhm.
You have a habit of coming in every morning and doing your scripted dialogue. One of the things that we're looking at there is if you're screwing up with your script partner, you can make it a joke, it's fun. Right? You blew it, they hammer you or something like that. But you're not doing it in real life. You're not failing to the person that means the most, the real client. If you fail with me, it doesn't matter. If I fail with you, it doesn't matter, right? We're just going to pick it up and go again. Do over, just like when we were kids. Well, can't do that in the real world. So it's really important that we're accountable to somebody. Who's accountable here to somebody if you're not on a team or
Myself.
working on your own? Yourself?
Yeah.
Can you be accountable to yourself 100%?
You have no choice sometimes.
Sometimes you don't, right? So what would you be accountable to then? Probably, I mean, to yourself, I get it.
Well, it's my client. I mean,
Client.
whether it's listing or buyer, you know,
Pay your
you
bills.
We're paying, well, yeah, so we paying the bills that
I
come
think
along
that's
with that.
the-
It's kind of-
Right.
and
I recommend that you do find somebody that you're accountable with, a script partner. If you fail them, they fail you, it has a little consequence to it. If you fail you,
You're my go-to, Joe.
I'm always here for you. I got so much time in the day.
Yeah, late, I just switch up here and there, man. You guys are awesome.
Has anybody thought about maybe being accountable to somebody in this room? You're here for Ignite, it might be something you think about. I'm not forcing anybody to do anything, but it is something you should think about. Because I came from a team, it does work. We used to switch our accountability partners out. You guys do that? Just so it's not so repetitious.
Yeah, usually like, every week, we get new partners.
Yeah. What's nice about that is it's not the same old, same old. Because a lot of times you don't know how to handle their objections because you've done it for the last month. Try to find somebody new with some new objections. Does everybody know the rules of engagement to a script partner? We give 2 objections and we let go. Never face each other, because on the phone we don't get to see who we're actually talking to. So sit side by side facing the opposite ways. Only give 2 objections and let go. The caller always has to win, always. Because if you're doing the scripting and dialogue and you're getting your ass kicked every day and never winning, it's not fun. So
You don't know how to act when you win.
Right, right. Yeah, you know, we tell you to go out and try to find 25 no's. Well, in scripting and dialogue, there has to be a win. And don't make it go too long. Try to keep it to you call, I call. Let's get into the real phone calls. Okay? So please work on your accountability. That is part of your 20%. Being accountable and making your numbers work will be 80% of what you're going to earn moving forward. Any questions on accountability? What we have found with the top 25% is that these guys and gals usually have more than one coach. They may have 2, 3 coaches. Why do they do that? Because they're playing at such a high level, they need a couple perspectives of what to do. Because their businesses may be running at way different pace than what we're used to. They may be running, being an OP in an office, having a mega team, and being a TL in another office. Or they may be regional directors and being an OP somewhere. So what your mind focuses on expands. Have somebody there to be accountable for all the actions that you need to take. Any questions on accountability? Did I go too fast again? All right, we're going to take a minute here. Can everybody turn to page 23? I want to take a minute here or two to write down your big why. Why do you want to be in real estate?
Section 22.
22? Okay. I think what they're telling me here at the bottom. Because my pages are different than yours.
Yeah.
Well, the big Y is on 22, the monetary goal is 23.
Okay. So let's go to 22 then for the big why. Write down your big why.
Yep. One more page. Yep.
When everybody's done, just kind of move the thumbs up. everybody know what a capper is? You heard the term capper in Keller Williams dialogue?
When we hit that.
Yeah. A full capper in Keller Williams dialogue is somebody that pays their full 18,000 in cap. After their 18,000, they're 100% themselves. In leadership, we have something called cap management. We keep cappers in certain months. That's how we pay our bills. So, are there any cappers here? Okay. And everybody else is a capper in training, right? They're all going to be cappers. That's why we're here. So, when you hear the word capper, now, what I like about this new Ignite is Keller Williams has a way of saying certain things that people look at and I don't know what that means. New Ignite, we're going to talk about certain things. So capper, when you hear a capper, that's somebody that hits their full $18,000 in cap. Okay? The capper in training for Ignite, there's 3 versions of this. There's the first version, which is usually somebody that's not going to cap. It's called the prisoner. They have to be there, they don't want to be there, and they don't know why they're there. So that can be looked at in a lot of different places in the job. You're a prisoner to your job. You've probably heard this before. A lot of factories have changed the way they've done things in the last 30 years because that's what people felt they were. They felt they were in a prison because they were running a bolt for 30 years. So what they do now is they change people around in the factory. There's the vacation. A day in training is better than a day on the job. So that they'll want to do as many CE classes or training classes or golf outings or whatever they can do other than the explorer. They're excited and they're curious about the new knowledge, the skills and tools that they've discovered in class. Those are the people that take what they've learned and go do it in the real world. All right, does everybody have their big why now? I'm not going to ask anybody to share their big why, but does the big why look like it's something that's achievable to you?
Yes.
Okay. Are you achieving that big why?
Yeah.
No, not yet. Do you believe you can achieve that big why?
Yes.
This is the hardest question to ask on the big why. Is it monetary, or is it for something else? Both.
Two.
Is it 2 things? It should be. Is it that way for everyone? Okay. Because money's not evil. Because when we earn money, we can do a lot of good things with it. It's when you treat money as evil is when it's a problem. So what we want to do is that big why should be linked to dollars. Because it should be changing something. It's either going to change your life, your retirement, your kid's retirement. Think big. Keller Williams, Gary Keller tells us, big thinkers do big things, right? So you may be thinking about whatever you earn today, you're earning 80-20. 20% of the things that I'm doing now is going to change my family's life forever. We're going to have generations of college paid for my kids, their kids, their kids, and their kids. Think about how that would change your family's dynamic. Does anybody want to share one of their big whys?
Share mine.
Go ahead, Rob.
Mine is to make money to support my family and have a better life. I work for a garbage company. I work 70 hours a week and make $60,000 a year. So.
Good job, isn't it? Business objective, life by design, not by default, right? You decided that you don't want to do whatever you did for the garbage company, I don't know what it was, for 70 hours a week. Kids are growing up real quick, not having any time to spend your money, and the little bit of money that they allowed you to have didn't go as far as you thought. Right? When we work for other people, we think it's a really good thing that they give us that money. We actually run that business. So what you're doing now is the same thing. You have to treat it like a job. It is a job, but you're working for yourself. That should be your big why. Has everybody set a monetary goal? So let's write down our monetary goal. We're not gonna spend 10 to 15 minutes on this because it shouldn't be that big. And then I want somebody to give me that monetary goal. How are we gonna break that down? Kate, I'm gonna pick on you because you already gave me a number. You're gonna sell 4 houses at $1 million, right? It's $250,000 a house. How many houses do you have to show or list in order to get there? Let's start with, what's your mix gonna be? How many listings compared to buys?
More, I guess it would be a 50-50.
So we're gonna go 2 houses and 2 houses.
2 houses and 2 houses, just to keep it, you know, medium. It's an average medium looking at the way the market reflects, depending on how much time I'm putting into it as well.
So how many phone calls do you have to make in order to get 2 listings a month? So how many listings, appointments do you have to go on? I should read that.
Depending on who I'm speaking with and how many I did know.
What you did last time.
Yeah. I mean, what, on average, it's, you got 10 possible with every 100 that you speak with. So,
That's 1 in 10, right?
yeah.
Just consent.
So if we're making, say, 20 phone calls a day, you should be grabbing at least 2 appointments out of that.
Yes.
So that would be 10 a week, and if it's 1 in 10, you should be listing 4 houses a month. So you, at that pace, if your conversion rate's right, you can probably do half of that, right? Make 10 phone calls, get their listing appointments, and go from there.
Depending on what lead system you're using too, though, how receptive they are, getting them on the phone, knowing what time to call. There's a strategy, if you will, that you know.
It's your skills.
Your skill set, right.
But the numbers don't lie.
Right.
It's 1 in 10. Doesn't matter how fancy your skills, your program is, it's still 1 in 10.
Right.
So how many buyers would we have to have out showing to get the 2 leads?
It's 1 in 10.
It's 1 in 4 actually have buyers.
Yeah.
You should go into contract 1 in 4 times.
I was gonna say
25%.
5, but yeah, 1 in 4.
It's 1 in 4. So you'll need to be out with 8 buyers in order to put those contracts together.
Now, when you're, let's say you're working with a buyer, rather than, you know, going crazy with it, you just potentially take out based on the exact what they're looking for. You just put like
Absolutely.
10 and then put them in front of them and say, okay, pick one.
You want to only show between 3 and 5 houses,
3, 5.
and you want to narrow it down for them. They've hired you to do a job, not
Sure.
to send them listings. Because Zillow will send them listings.
Right.
So, yeah, absolutely. That's a different class, so we'll get into that one later. But that's definitely what you want to do. The reason we're setting goals, because what is a goal? It's a dictator of action. That's all a goal is. Now, goals, if you're going to be successful, and one of the things that Gary found in the top 25 is goals are non-negotiable. Top 25 agents in this company that do it at a very high level don't negotiate their goals, ever. So when you set a goal, what happens?
You hit it.
You hit it.
Exceed it.
That was it. You exceeded. You hit it or exceeded, right? We find that accountability, I'm going to go back to accountability, teams have that accountability because there's usually a group of people there that are watching each other achieve. And most of us are competitive. We don't like to get beat by the next. So I go back to the accountability because if you set a goal, you need to share that with your accountability partner. If they don't know your goal, then they can't help you achieve it. So it's just like being that silent agent. If you don't tell you sell real estate, how does anybody know you sell real estate? We got to tell them. Does anybody have any questions on monetary? Pretty self-explanatory. If you set that goal, figure out how you're going to get to it. Pete's case, he's going to sell 4 $250,000 properties.
If you can find it.
If you can find them. But you're going to list 2 of them, so you're 500,000. You're already halfway there. That's a pretty good goal because living in the 250 world is a really nice place to be.
It's a warm spot.
It's a real warm spot. I like that 250 goal. I always said that if I could do 200,000 to 250, I'm good. because you usually have a second-time home buyer. They're usually pretty prepared about moving. They're not scared like the first-time home buyer. They're not looking for too much like the luxury. They pretty much appreciate you. You appreciate them, obviously. $7,500 is a nice paycheck.
Plus you have to negotiate to have the homeowner leave the furniture behind in the house too.
Oh yeah, I mean everybody's
Good time right there.
everybody's in line.
Yeah.
Everybody's lined up on that. I like that goal. Anybody else want to share a goal? Don't have to, but you can. Somebody want to read this for me?
Every day you don't lead generate, 90 days later you can expect no money. You don't want to.
Does that go back to the 80-20 rule? Right. This portion of Ignite is pretty scary in certain instances, because when you look at that, every day you don't lead generate puts you back 90 days. Well, really, if you don't lead generate 3 days according to this year's pretty much over, right? Every 90 days. It's a pretty big statement. I think Gary's trying to get across that we should be lead generating. And I have to ask this question again, because we're going to get into the 4 skills. What is your job?
Lead generation.
Sales.
And then what else do you do? Sales. Absolutely. Who is your customer?
Everyone.
Yep. Everyone. Everyone is your customer. And what is your product? This is where there's going to be a curveball. What is your product? You. Your knowledge base, your expertise, your ability to deliver, your ability to find out the questions that they have. One of the things that we do in Bold, and I keep going back to it because it's pretty impressive, is that we pair up in twos. One person closes their eyes, the other person holds the other person's elbow, we go through an obstacle course. And we may walk through wherever this obstacle course happens to be. Well, that is you and your client. Remember, people don't sell a house every day, like we see every day. We see a house being sold. So they're blind to every step of the way. They hire us to be experts and get them through that painlessly. So we don't want to crash into couches with them. We don't want to crash into the person in front of us with them. So what we have to do is act like they are blind, and you're going to get them through. It's very, very important. So they're not hiring someone to sell them a house, because that's just the box that they found online that they're going to move into. What they're hiring is the person that has the knowledge, the expertise, and the ability to get them through it. Does that make sense to everybody? They're hiring you. I think I've told you guys have all heard this. They're not buying the steak, they're buying the sizzle. You know, down Big Beaver here, we can go to Morton's, we can go to Ocean Prime, we can go to Ruth Chris, we can go to Shula, we can go to them all. They all got the same steak. It's what sizzle you're gonna buy. They all cost too much.
Speaking of the sizzle, let me ask you something. Because it's a 6% commission, not to go off base with what we're talking about, but as you would say, the sizzle, can you attach a higher percentage to that as you're marketing yourself?
This is going back to school, that there is no 6% commission, it's all negotiable.
Right, so you could essentially establish yourself as a 10, come down to 8, and be a bottom line of 6.
And you'll do them a favor of 6.
So you have to have one hell of a sizzle, is what you're saying.
Yeah. That special sauce better be working real well.
Say, we're the Ruth Chris of agents, the other guys are the Ponderosas.
Right. Is Ponderosa still even around? I don't even know.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to go through the 4 skill levels.
Ponderosa, if you're at 10, they're at McDonald's.
First skill level, know your big why and your monetary goal. So that's number 1. When you get into this, you need to know your big why and your monetary goal.
Take that, you want to go?
Mine is 16. You guys are way beyond that already.
Oh, so you went back?
It's 18, right?
Well, mine's way different than yours, it might be 18. This thing's not correlated with it. Okay. 18, guys, on your side. I wish they gave me the same page as you had. And it doesn't even tell me what page you're on. So there are skill levels. Know your big why and your monetary goal. Skill 2, commit to daily lead generation. That's going to be commit to it, do it, and get yourself somebody that's going to keep you accountable. What's number 3? Somebody read that out for me.
Use influencing sales language.
What does that mean?
Be able to talk them into sales.
Well, it's not talking into it. It's influencing. It's getting you the appointment. So it's working with objections, working through the objections, and getting the appointment. It's mirror and match. It can be a lot of different things, but objections is basically what this is. Learn to work the objections. The only way you can do that is to practice. Only. What's number 4? Somebody read that out.
Big why and monetary goal.
Why is that important?
You don't keep
Keep an
it around.
accountable to it.
Right.
Keep me focused.
Why write it down? Why put a monetary value to it? And why have a big why if you're not going to use it? Anybody want to go over anything on that? So let's go down skill level number 1. Go to flip the page. Know your big why and your monetary goals. One of the questions we want to ask is, what stirs your soul? Why are you doing this? Why are you in this business? Why did everybody get into this business? Somebody give me an example of why they did it.
To not have to work for someone else.
Yeah, that's a pretty good one, isn't it? I like that one. Anybody else?
Supplementing your income above what you're already on.
Sure.
Having no ceiling.
Yeah, it's unlimited, isn't it?
$12, $15 an hour with a quarter raise down there.
And I'm not going to get into Republican or Democrat, but there happens to be a realtor up on stage there running for president, isn't there?
You think?
Yeah.
I couldn't tell.
Like I said, I'm not going to get into the party, but there happens to be a realtor up there.
You can keep running.
Go and buy a house from them.
What do you hope to achieve for yourself and your family by doing this?
Financial stability. Go above and beyond. I
Sure.
mean, I came out of it after retiring. And, you know, I love working with people and having that passion to make their dreams come true and help my family, you know, go above and beyond and make theirs come true.
Did your big why actually happen to look like that too?
It does.
That's good. See how that works? The numbers don't lie. That's good. That's great. Anybody else? In order to achieve success, you need to motivate and have inspiration for what you're doing, your big why. You have to. Passion for the big why. You have to have passion for your why. You have to follow the models. Keller Williams lays down all kinds of models for us of what to do. If we, has anybody read the Red Book here?
Started one.
I use that book. I mean, it's pretty boring for me to sit there and read that cover to cover. But I like to use it as a reference guide. So mine actually has paper clips in it, so that I know where I'm going. It's pretty ape-like, but that's what I do. It's a reference guide. Follow the models. It works. We have 140,000 agents that are following the model. It works. Time over task. I always like to say it's time over talent. You could be the most, probably the best real estate agent, objection handler, best on the phones, best. But if you don't do it, you lose. There's a whole lot of agents out there that you look at and you go, I don't know how they sold a house. What they did is they actually went out there and asked for somebody to do business. And they got it. I mean, when I first started, I was terrible. I didn't even know how to show a house. Nobody helped me. sold 2 houses my first year for $43,000 total. But I kept trying. And the next year I did 50. And then, so it's there, but it's time over task, time over talent. These guys can tell you that the best real estate agents in the world, if they're not out there asking for the business, they're not going to get it. You will. What's coming up here pretty soon? Does anybody know? We're probably going into a shift. We've been teaching the shift for about a year now. Most real estate cycles run 7 years. We're 5 years into a cycle. Probably going to see a shift in the next 2 years. Don't know how big the shift's going to be. Did anybody go to that mastermind on Thursday? Yeah. Jim Schaefer said he thinks we're going to feel about a 10% reduction in values. If that happens, we're probably going to be okay. But what also happens in a shift is that business that is gained is normally never given back, and business that is lost never comes back. So this is the time for agents to actually get market share. In our last shift, a lot of the bigs fell off and never came back.
Right.
The ones that were buying the cities that they owned, basically they've been doing business there for 25 years. Well, when our property values all fell $100,000 and we weren't selling houses the way they were selling them, if you notice some of the names you saw back in 2008 aren't here anymore. They retired and they said, I can't do this anymore. Because when they came back, the team had already grown. We saw a new concept in real estate. People formed teams, formed groups, and it was a way different world than they were used to. It wasn't people calling them saying, can you list my house because you listed my house. They're gone now. Those people that lived in those houses lost them at a rapid pace. We were one of the only states losing population. So now that we're back, those folks are different faces now. So keep that in mind in the shift.
We lost more of a population just in Michigan than in any one of any other.
Any state in the union. That's
Yeah.
fine. You couldn't get a U-Haul out of Michigan.
Yeah, yeah, you couldn't.
You couldn't.
The saying was, shut the lights on.
That is.
That's bad.
So because of the shift, we have to concentrate on our business, guys. We actually have to make sure that we're, in family reunion, they had something that they called winter is coming. It was on all the backpacks and things. Winter is coming, so we have to prepare for it. That means that we have to lead generate the old-fashioned way. We actually have to go try to find the free business that's out there and not trying to go out and buy it. Because anybody can go buy Zillow leads and anybody can go buy Realtor.com leads. What is the conversion rate for Zillow, Realtor, all the ones that we buy?
10%.
10%? Anyone else? 4%. Yeah. That's an awful lot of money for whoever's ever buying leads. Your return on investment isn't so great.
No, it isn't. It's
No,
terrible.
it's pretty terrible. 4%. That's at a good level. It's usually they say it's 1 to 4%. So if your skill level on an internet lead is not so good, you may only turn 1% of the dollar you're spending. So that's why we're getting into lead generation. What we have to do every day is add 10 new contacts to our database. Does that make sense to everybody?
Not to stop Joe, but, okay, so you say there's gonna, like, say that shift does happen 2 years ago. You know,
That's 18 months practically. Go ahead.
okay. Either way, the thing is that, is it safer to be a part of a team, or is it a matter of just self-branding online? Is it a matter of just going about it this way to survive that storm, if you will? I mean, what do you propose?
I don't want to tell you yes to the team and no to the team because I don't know. There's strength in numbers. We are pack animals. We usually do better in numbers.
Right.
The team's always going to have the stability of financial because really what you're doing as a team is you're pooling your money. You're grabbing a group of people and you're pooling your money in order to buy leads, protect yourself, have leverage, those types of things. That's all good stuff, but it's costly. Now, as an individual agent, you could do, I mean, teams are doing this now too, so it doesn't really matter, but, adding 10 new contacts to your database. We kind of did it in our 30-day challenge, where we were having a tough time towards the end, and we said this was gonna happen. We're gonna have a tough time adding new people for 30 days, or 25 days actually. So we had to find new ways of doing it. So that was maybe going to vendor-based, finding the guy that owns the hardware store, the gal that owns the paint store, or the landscaper, or whatever it happens to be. If you notice, when it says 10 new contacts, it doesn't say 10 contacts of friends you have. It says 10 contacts. Add 10 people to your database. If you're adding 10 people to your database, you're speaking with 10 people a day. Remember that number we came up with? Your conversion rate was 10, wasn't it? Right? See how eerie that is? And you're writing 10 notes. What is 10 notes?
Sending a person,
Yeah.
handwritten note to a person.
Handwritten.
Follow
Absolutely.
up to your open house leads, follow up to people that.
Now, when I say write 10 notes, did that kind of make people feel a little uneasy?
Yeah.
Now, when you break it down to, I had an open house this week, I talked to 10 different people, I sent a thank you note for taking my phone call, those type of things. Pretty important stuff because people don't write anymore. Go ahead.
I was just gonna ask you, what's your experience with, personalized notes in terms of success? I mean, we hammer the phones, not related to notes. I was just curious, since you've been in the industry.
It's the generation of people you're sending the notes to has been my experience. A lot of the younger folks don't really care about the note. More of the middle-aged crowd love it.
Yeah.
So sometimes when you're hammering phones, you don't know who you're dealing with. You'll have to judge that by the house they're buying. Okay? And that's a great question.
Condo or something.
Right, yeah, right. The real, the retiree type crowd really love this.
Mhm.
They don't like emails, they don't like text. I mean, most of them don't even text. That's true. The handwrittens go a long way. But we have noticed, especially with listings, and I don't care what generation it happens to be, you hit a listing appointment, you send them a thank you for showing up, you're golden. Because I can guarantee if they saw 3 agents come through, you're probably the only one who wrote the letter, just wrote the note. With buyer-based teams, which a lot of teams are buyer-based, those don't go as far because with buyers, we're in front of them all the time. With a listing, I may show up, do my listing appointment, and 2 or 3 days later call and follow up. So I'm not in front of them. So the note the next day really follows up better.
Mhm.
And then when I do make my phone call, it's a lot warmer. Reason being is because they got my note, and then I'm on top of their mind, like, oh wow, this guy actually handwrote a note. And I'm not gonna lie to you, in all honesty, I didn't even write my own notes. I would give them to my aunt, and she would write them, sign them. Because she could pretty much mimic my signature, but she signed my name. But
She can spell.
she could spell it. And
Grammar.
better, right? It wasn't in crayon. But for listings, this goes a long way. Buyers, not so much, because normally with buyers, as you know, we have urgency. We need to be out again tomorrow. So for me to send them a note doesn't really work as well. Does that make sense to everybody? This is very, very important. Weekly. We have to preview 10 homes. Why do we need to preview 10 homes?
On the market. You know,
On the
you know
market?
what they look like inside. I mean, you gotta know the
Absolutely.
details of
Get
it.
in front of sellers.
Sure.
The photos sometimes.
Getting in front of sellers. You're
Cards
becoming
on
a
the
market
cover.
expert. You're becoming an expert in the neighborhood. When your buyer says, I want to see 123 Main Street, you say, I was in that the other day, great house. I think we should get through now. You're leaving your card behind. What happens if this thing goes expired?
You're calling.
They have your card.
They have
know
your
you-
card,
they're
right?
following.
It's not unethical if it goes expired and they call you, right?
So you go check the houses without
You
the
do an
buyer.
agent preview.
Yeah.
Some of the MLS does agent preview on it. Who does investors? Anybody handle investors? Okay. We do a lot of agent previews, don't we?
Yeah.
The investor's not gonna come out unless they're gonna buy it.
Right. They wanna know.
So what do? They make us go do it, right? And you go, well,
And is there margin?
the wall's falling apart, so I don't think we should buy this one. So it's pretty important that we do the 10 previews.
How do you go about setting up? Just go to the
MLS.
Go to the MLS.
the showing time?
A lot of the drag downs, there is an agent preview.
Yeah.
Right.
But how about open house?
Click
Yeah,
on,
open house.
click on showing time and it'll say, are you previewing it? Showing
Or you just
time.
say you're the buyer broker.
Okay.
I mean, there's no rule that says have to have a client with us,
Okay.
Okay.
right? How about open houses though? You can go preview 4 or 5 open houses.
I take my clients to open houses. If their house is for sale in that neighborhood, if there's something else that comes up that next Sunday, I'm doing an open house and I'm taking my client right through that open house.
You know, I'm glad you brought that up. How about if we did our listing appointments and we bring them through a couple of houses in their neighborhood? Would that kill 2 birds with 1 stone?
I show them their competitors.
Thank you.
Just to give these guys an example, because I've got a little more experience, I had an open house here in Detroit years ago. People came through my listing, my open house, 2-day to release some of the gourmet kitchen. I said, got just a house for you 2 blocks away. My office was doing tours at the time. I just previewed it. It'll knock your socks off. Went over there. They said, we want it. You need to sell our house. I said, I can do both. I ended up with $500,000 worth of real estate for the last 10 minutes of my open house. Matter of fact, I was leaving, they said, can we come in? I said, absolutely, and I can come back
I'm
in.
really sorry to hear that.
I know. But it was all because I toured the houses. So,
That's it. Is that time over task or time over talent? Absolutely. Not that you're not talented, but the point is that you were there, you were in front, you asked for the business. If you go down to 6 perspectives, it's touching a bunch of them.
I work 7 days a week in real estate, so a lot of times I'm booked and I'll have a client call and say, Wandra, there's an open house in my neighborhood, the buyer client. And I'll tell them, okay, go ahead. And I'll call that agent and let them know my client is coming. The agent respects it, they look for them, they treat them really well, and then send them all back to me.
That was tough. You didn't even show the house. How about maybe giving them a stack of your cards, right? For every open house and new builder you go to see, give them one of these. And if we don't use them all, before we close, give them to your friends that are looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate.
Yeah, good idea.
I mean, these cards, we have to have them either way, right? Everybody's got cards on them, right? So if I ask you for your business card, you'll have it on you right now?
Yeah, sure.
No, shame on you. What's gonna happen in the next Ignite class?
if I don't, I got
You have your business card on, right? There you go. You can't tell people you sell real estate without a business card. I'm not putting you on task, but you need to have it next time. Seriously. We're gonna be accountable. Why are we here? Because we're gonna be accountable. All right. Any else?
Let me just,
Go ahead.
as far as, looking at previewing homes and stuff, I have found that, as I'm sure all of you have, what looks like a nice house on MLS is not so nice when you get there. So doing it beforehand and previewing these, I'll book a showing and I'll pull up and I'll cancel that showing. Won't even go in. So I think that whole preview is a big plus because you're not wasting your client's time.
Absolutely.
And that has been
And do we find that
real
maybe houses
eye-opener
sell a
as a
little
new.
faster right now?
right.
So if you're actually in the door, what happens when we show a house? Doesn't showing time send us a feedback?
Yes.
So we can feed back to it. That agent may call us up and say, we're highest and best, or, hey,
Yeah.
I got somebody else interested. That's what they're gonna do.
That's
Once
what
you've been through, they wanna tell you that they have something. So you can call your client and say, look, I just got a call back from Mary Jo, whatever her name is, and
Yep.
they got interest on this house. Do you wanna see this? Because if not, we're probably gonna lose it.
Right.
Urgency. Urgency with buyers is key. We have a new daily 104 tracking. This is basically the 4 conversations. This is to keep you on track for what you are using. This is for Ignite, this 104.com. Who's using CTE right now? We all have it. Yeah, you have to.
And I tried to do this, and I needed a code.
Okay. We'll check.
So
with
I
Lizzie.
got it.
I think it's up and
Lizzie
running now.
had to,
Yeah.
because it's part of the, what do I want to say, CF,
CTE tracker is what it is. Part of, or the CGI.
yeah, the CGI. You need a code now to get into that. And it changes daily. Lizzie just sent me a message. So if you need to do it, you're gonna need a code.
I would recommend everybody using their CTE. As agents in this office, we have this for no charge. please use it. It's
I just
commitment to
started today,
excellence.
so.
Okay, you just started today. It's
But I've been in the
basically
business 40 years, so I think I'm not really, but I know.
a couple days, huh?
System.
CTE, you'll see Lizzie before you leave, she'll set you up with it. Anybody that hasn't used their CTE, see Lizzie, don't all barge in on her, get some time. My job's a barge on. CTE tracks everything for you, and it's a really cool tool because when you put your goals in, you say, I want to make X amount of dollars, it tells you, breaks it down to every little step that you have to make. I have to make so many dials, so many contacts, sell so many houses in order to hit that $250,000. And you go, well, I don't want to make 250 anymore, I want to make 500. You change it to 500 and it redoes all your numbers.
Like my fitness pal.
Right,
Tells
right,
you how much
right.
to eat.
It's really cool. And I think it's an invaluable tool. You guys are probably doing it for dials and contacts per day, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. And it keeps you on task, because you know that if I don't make my 25 calls, I'm not gonna have my 2 appointments, right? I don't know what your conversion rate is. But, it's very important that we use it. We use it religiously daily. Is that back to our accountability? So we wanna be accountable to ourselves, we should probably use these tools. Nobody else is looking at them, you are. Well, in your case, a lot of people are looking at them, but, you have to use them. This is really good for the Ignite class, but I would definitely be on CTE. Any questions on that? Am I going too fast again? As far as goal setting, I'm not gonna take you through how to break it down unless you guys want me to. The monetary, you basically know if you sell a $200,000 house, it's a $6,000 commission. We need to do the basic math to go through all this.
Okay, what page are we at, buddy?
We're gonna be on page 37 now. We're gonna watch the scripting video.
Watch the peas are from room.
I'm not hungry, but go ahead and grab it. This is about scripting right here. Lizzie says he's working, so we'll see.
It's very slow back here.
Yeah.
So if it's on your night, it'll be a
Right. It's a minute 31 video and we won't even start for 10 minutes.
You got barbecue chicken back there. I need you to just smile.
This is my life.
Sorry, guys. We're spinning.
Yeah, you're buffer.
That's a symbol of how you're spinning your wheels if you're not making those calls, right?
We call those star agents, right? We're bouncing all over the office all day, but we don't get anywhere. Call them star agent.
Just a random person. It wasn't
We're on the low end
shot.
right here, so.
It wasn't.
You don't get that video, I'm sorry. Yeah. You didn't want that video either, did you?
I love to watch them, actually. I watch it. Nice ones, like, they teach a lot.
They are good
Events.
videos.
I love them.
Who here uses scripts? Hopefully everybody. Why do we use scripts?
Point of reference. Kind of keeps things on the paper rather than your own personal, I mean, you can put your own personal spin to it, but
What
it's
are
better
they-
to stick to the script.
Develop consistency.
Yeah, that too. That's good.
And also, you don't get hung up because you know what to say next.
Right.
So we want to stick to the language of sales or scripting because it's very, very important that we know what the next steps are going to be. Sports teams don't have plays because they just like that's something to do. They have plays because they have to run a play in order to get the goal that they need to achieve. Same with scripting. There's 3 steps to a script. There's memorizing, there's internalizing. Does everybody know what that is? Where you memorize it to the point where you can just spit it out. And then what's the 3rd step? Customizing. You make it work for you. So a lot of the scripts that you may read, you'll read it and you go, man, that doesn't sound, I have to speak this way. Well, until you memorized it and internalized it, you can't change it. The best example I heard when we were a family is a golfer never comes out and changes their swing. They may have a different stance depending upon where they are on the golf course, but the swing is always the same, right? So don't go out and try to change your swing. Keep the same swing. Just customize it to where you need it to be. So if you're out there driving from the tee box, it's sure a lot different than being in a sand trap. But the swing never changes. So keep that in mind. Let me see if I can get the gloves.
Hi, I'm Jeff Glover, and I'm going to tell you.
Come on.
You gotta keep it minimized.
Oh.
You gotta keep it minimized for it to work.
What's that?
You gotta keep it minimized. Like that. Well, because he went bigger on it. I
One
closed it
video I
out.
wanted you to see.
Close it out and push it again.
I don't even know how to find it. Lizzie, put it up. Sorry, guys. That was one video I wanted to see.
Copy and paste.
And the other agents.
X out of that.
It's there's a corner of it.
Yeah, because his offices weren't.
And then introduce
That didn't work either, right? Too bad, sorry.
Well, just answer that
Go ahead, eat.
You hungry?
I'm starving, dude.
Yeah.
All right.
It's teamwork.
Who knows we have an app? Who utilizes their app?
Started to use it.
I do.
Shared it.
It's a good app.
It's a great app. You should be using it. Getting referrals, using your app is huge. I've actually done it where I've been in a coffee shop and took somebody's phone and texted it right to them and opened it up. It's a great app. What's the beauty of your app is when they're actually looking at stuff, you can watch them look at the stuff. Anytime that they like something, it comes right to you, saying that somebody's looking at your listings. So please use it. Do we have any questions on this?
On the app?
On the app?
I guess I have to add exploits on that.
What's wrong with yours?
How do you share the app? I mean,
You go open up your app.
I have it open.
Okay, go to share app.
Over.
Share app.
There's a little thing that says share app.
You have to, right there.
Share app. Share.
Oh.
You can text it, email it,
Oh.
Facebook it.
Yeah.
Send them a link, they hit that and it downloads it on their phone. And it says it's sort of like a.
They have to sign in, sometimes people have trouble.
Now, if you've ever had this app come across by another agent, you'll have to call them and they'll take you out, take down what you have. So if you had like before you were an agent, you had another Keller Williams agent send your app, they're locked in. So
No, I didn't, I don't know. I have to say with it actually, it's my last name put first somewhere.
That's the question.
Yeah.
But definitely use your app.
It's very nice.
Very, very good tool that we have. Most people don't have an app. We want to get them off of,
Or they
get them
go
off
to
of Zillow.
Zillow and they, you just
go, here, don't use that.
Right. Has anybody read The One Thing yet? Anybody know what that is? Yeah, it's a great book. You haven't read it? All right. Who needs a One Thing?
It's up there with everyone.
All right, see me before you leave. All right, I'll get you the One Thing. I have them in my office. I'm supposed to give one away, but we got showed up, so we can't. The one thing that we found that the top 25 agents all do, every one of them without an exception, is write down everything on their calendar. From the moment they wake up to the moment they fall asleep. Is everybody doing this?
I actually just started it.
Not yet?
I started it this week.
Is everybody going to do this?
Yes.
Did you see what was here?
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. Is that learning base? Is that one of our 6 perspectives?
Yeah.
This is important. I put mine on there because I have a 14-year-old and she's hard to get going in the morning, so I have to give her an extra half hour to get her out of bed. So I've even played little tricks by changing her clock.
Ice bucket challenge works too.
Ice bucket challenge.
It's those darn
so we're not
phones
going to be
that
doing
screw us
that.
up.
Yeah. But one of the things I have to do is I have to get myself up at 5 to get her started by 6. So 5:30 is to start to wake her up. So that's actually on my calendar. I have that in red because I like to color code mine because it's a pain in the ass getting her going. So that's one of the things. When I'm going to be showing up for scripting and dialogue, we're going to be attending both. Now they want us to do it from 9 to 11, but we can't do it from 9 to 11 because we're making phone calls. This is really, really important, guys. And I didn't believe that. I thought that I could sit at my desk and eat lunch and do other little things. You have to have a lunch break. Find time to get out and have lunch. Find time to have some your time during the day. Your time's not only at night. We get so caught up with our clients, our co-workers, our friends, our family, that we don't have any time for ourselves. Sometimes we don't eat lunch. Sometimes we don't do what we should be doing. So it's pretty important. Complete your 10-4 assignments. What are your 10-4 assignments? That's going into your CTE, putting in your tracking, and doing your handwritten notes. Okay? That's known as your 10-4 assignments. Notice how we have respond to emails and calls and follow up later in the day. We don't want to do this during our time that we should be prospecting. These are all follow-ups. They happen after. And if you don't have actual real clients that you're showing houses to, get out there and get some previews. Just see 10 houses in a week. It's 2 houses a day. It's not that hard. Hopefully you do it the right way and you have clients with you. That's preview also. Dinner time. Anybody that has kids, this is pretty important. This is about the only time you can sit them down and take their phones away from them and be able to talk to them. And then, what is review calendar for tomorrow? And get preparation. A lot of folks will, whatever they're eating for breakfast, have that ready, their lunch. I was just talking to Lane. One of the things that he and I have been doing is that we prepare our lunches on Sunday. So you have 5 days worth of lunches ready to go inside the fridge. They're just ready. So when you get ready to leave, because a lot of times in my house, that's where the chaos starts. I just grab my lunch, my coffee, and it's ready to go. In his case, he had a daughter and a son take 2 of his lunches for this week, so he gets to rinse and repeat. Now, did you notice that Monday, Wednesday, Friday on this calendar happens to be different than Tuesday and Thursday? And that's okay. You may have different calendars, however you want to do it. But the most successful agents in our company make sure that they open and close their day at the same time. If you go on vacation, you're going to have an alternative calendar, right? Because what we should be doing on our vacation is unplugging. We shouldn't be doing emails. We shouldn't be following up with clients. We should be unplugged. There should be somebody back at the office running your day-to-day task of business so that you can enjoy. NAR has a statistic for every time an agent comes back from vacation, they sell 1 more house. Why? Because you're ready to go back to work. It's not the same old grind. You want to get back to it. You may have been out on the beach with your kids for a whole week. That's more stressful than trying to find a house for somebody. So that's something that you should be doing. Unplugging when you're on vacation. That's me, that's not it. Does anybody have any questions on this?
So what's a vacation?
Accountability partner, we talked about this already. There's different accountability partners. There's a personal accountability partner, that may be your spouse, your good friend, somebody like that. Your accountability partner at work, that's your script and dialogue. As your business gets bigger and you do more business, you may go into coaching. You may go into MAPS coaching. You may go into group coaching. You may get a personal coach. You may do a lot of different coaching. I've been doing mastery coaching for a couple of years. I really enjoy it. It's great. They open your mind. They make you tell you what you need to do. They just push you to do it. And then there it is, the CGI, Career Growth Initiative. What is the Career Growth Initiative? Does anybody know? In leadership, we got this launched to us about 5 years ago, and it's the 4 conversations. We used it for recruiting, and who we were going to talk to, how many calls and dialogues we were going to make. When we actually talked to them, we had a wall of value. What do we have to offer the world out there for them to want to come to us? That's our wall of value, right? So in Keller Williams Leadership, we have training, we have accountability, we have office, we have a lot of different things that we can offer. Same thing with you as agents. What is your wall of value to your buyers and sellers? What is it? Somebody give me an example of their wall of value.
Experience.
Experience? Okay.
My eagerness to get it done.
Sure. Sure. Passion, right? We like to help people, right? Anybody else? So we have to tell the world that. So we have to actually get on the phones, make phone calls, make appointments, give them our wall of value, put them in a contract, close them, rinse and repeat. That's your CGI. Also as agents, you have another responsibility to yourselves and your clients. You need to look for other agents out there to put in your downline. How many people have 20 people in their front line? How many people know what the front line is? That's your first line of people that you brought directly in, right?
Yep.
How many have 20 in their front line? None. If you have 20 people in your front line, you should be able to retire with $100,000 in passive income.
I have more of that.
You have how many?
More,
Well, you didn't get there.
yeah.
Is that important to anybody? To earn $100,000 by doing nothing? I like that. For retirement. So that's part of your growth initiative also. You have to be out there looking for co-ops. You have to be out there looking for anybody that you believe would be a good agent and try to get them into the Keller Williams system. So, let's put it all together. Do we have an action plan?
Yeah.
Do we have the big why and goals? If we don't, are we going to have that?
Yeah.
Do we maybe need to tweak our action plan?
Probably.
Yeah? Does everybody know what a 135 is? We have one goal, right? Goal. We have 135. We have one goal, 3 actions, and 5 actions. 5 steps to each action in order to achieve that goal. So a 135 is basically goal setting. You have to know where you're going to be this year, in 3 years, and in 5 years. Does everybody have that? So if I ask you, Kevin, right now, where are you going to be next year in this business? What's your answer?
Next year in this business, my goal is to make $100,000 per year.
Okay. And what about 3 years?
Say
100,000. So you're gonna increase 100,000 per year.
Yes.
Have you written that down?
Yes.
Okay. What about 5 years?
I haven't gone off that.
It's okay. We're all new agents, we have to start somewhere.
Okay.
It's okay if we haven't written that down, but don't you think it's a good idea to write that down? Kevin, where are you gonna be? Or Rob, I'm sorry.
Not written down, but I'd like to make $1 million a year,
In 5 years.
5 years.
Okay, so let's start with Rob's. You're gonna be a millionaire real estate agent in 5 years. That's where you're gonna start. You're gonna work your way back to your first year. So it's easier to go backwards than it is forwards. So in your goal setting, because I can already tell by the room, we haven't done this yet. We need to do this. We need to write down where we're gonna be in 5, 3, and 1. Okay? And then I want you to think about how you're gonna get there. What do you have to do in order for this to happen? Now, when you set your $1 million goal and work backwards, you have to start at 1 to get to $1 million, because you have to be able to build upon it. So you're 135. That's your action plan.
So my first year would be 100,000, 150,000.
Yeah.
The third year is 500,000.
I need you to work the numbers to what you think are achievable. A goal that's too far out there and it's not achievable is not a good goal. We need it to be a stretch goal, yes, but it can't be, I'm going to sell the Empire State Building. Probably not going to happen. Possible, but not probable. So that's what we're going to do to prepare for our next class. So our next class tomorrow is business plan. So I need you to prepare what your 135 is going to look like, because that's setting yourself up for what your business is going to look like. Does that make sense? We want to recall and remember. We want to recall and remember what we talked about today. We talked about the 6 perspectives. And if you notice, as we went through this class, a lot of things were popping back up. The numbers were always there, weren't they? The perspectives were always there. The 80-20 rule, the E and the P, the self-mastery, all of it's still there. We could go through anything in this class and touch base on any of those 6 perspectives. Review your 6 perspectives. What are some of the ahas from today? Does everybody know what aha means? I just learned this last week.
Light bulb.
We hear this all the time in Keller Williams. Your aha. Does anybody know what it means?
Your light bulb went on.
Agents helping agents. I didn't know it. I didn't know that. I found that out in KPA. This is where a lot of the most important stuff in the class comes out, is when somebody in the class says, I learned. So what did you guys learn? Hopefully you learned something. Give me something.
Right hand notes.
Yeah? That was your biggest aha of the day?
One of them.
Okay.
First thing that came to mind.
It's good. Now, how did you feel about the listing compared to the buyers and the
It
handouts?
made a lot of sense. I mean, go a little bit further. I didn't elaborate on it, but yeah.
No, I'm just wondering if that made sense to everybody.
Yeah.
Okay. What else do we have for ahas?
You gotta write your goals down.
Yes.
Yeah. Because if it's not written down, it doesn't exist. Right?
Yeah.
What is one of the first things they taught us in school when we were getting our 40 hour? Statutes of fraud, right? It has to be in writing or it doesn't exist. So we use that in contract law, but we don't use that in our real lives. What's the other thing we have to write down? Our calendars. Wow, that's an aha. Because we all go through our day not knowing where we're going to be in the next hour. Right? We say we're going to prospect and we don't follow the calendar.
I love the 80-20. That's what's
You like the 80-20?
Oh, yeah.
Isn't that good?
That's amazing.
That was one of my favorite things that I learned when I first came to Keller
Very
Williams.
good.
It makes so much sense.
Wow.
If I have 10 things to do in one day, 2 of them are only going to be productive. Other than that, it's busy work. So we teach in Keller Williams leverage, right? So if we wrote down 10 things we do every day, and next to that thing that we do could be a $10 an hour job, that means we leverage that to somebody else. We don't do that anymore. Because who here wants to work for $10 an hour? I had an agent in our office. This is a funny story. And he's a humble guy, and he says, I don't care. I'm not too proud to work for $10 an hour. I said, great. I gave him my car keys. I said, go wash my truck, pick up my dry cleaning, and grab Jimmy John for me, and here's your $10. He looked at me like I had 7 eyes. I said, you're not gonna do that for $10. Right?
It's a good example.
Who's gonna do it? None of you guys.
Right, you didn't end up with a black eye.
He was into a shock. But think about it. You know, we look at it like, well, I'm not too proud. No, I'm not either. But we got into this business not to work for $10. What else we got? Give me another aha. One more and I'll leave you alone.
Previews.
Previews. Yeah.
I didn't even know, to be honest with you, I didn't know that we could go in there without a client.
Sure.
I have not scheduled previews to go.
They can't go on without us, but we can go on without them.
Right.
Wow.
Right? Rob, if you're looking for a house for
Several
yourself,
times.
aren't you your own client?
Yeah.
Right?
That's a great aha.
So how many of those were you going to do weekly?
Well, I'll probably do 20 now.
All right, we can.
Another,
The goal is 10.
Because I want my
the
kids
agent
out
over
there.
here,
If
he
you
stepped
want your
out,
name and
but I liked her idea of, if you really are too busy, and you've got a customer who's looking for property, send them to an open house with some of your cards, but you suggest.
Cards is what I always do.
And call that agent ahead of time and just say, I just want to let you know, I'm sending buyers of mine over there. Please, say hello to them, be effective. That's a great idea.
Another thing to build upon that, there's no reason that you can't send a client out to a neighborhood to do a preview before you show them the house too. They may think they want to live in a certain neighborhood. When they drive by the house, it backs up to a busy street.
Yeah,
Why do we need to get in the car to find that out?
yeah.
The previews also help that, because you've already seen the house, you know that the backyard is warmer. They're not gonna live there.
Yeah.
So, something to look at. All right, that was good. Enhance your learning. Enhancing your learning means you'll be in these Ignite classes, finish it up. Jet Johnson is doing your business planning tomorrow. You guys are very, very important to go through. When I was on Fern's team, one of the first things he made me do as a buyer's agent was do Ignite all the way through. I wasn't a sales manager yet, I was just a buyer's agent. And I went through Ignite, and then I did Bold right after that. And it really, really helped me with my business. It pushes through. The next year after doing Ignite, I became a listing agent for him. And that's when I broke my first $10 million. So it does help. Any questions?
Yeah, how do you get the information if you can't be at that class the next, consecutively, because
Lizzie
I've
can
got
send it.
appointments.
These are all PDF. She prints these for us.
Okay, because like
So,
tomorrow I've got a prospect for lunch,
what time?
1 o'clock.
To make it tough. Try to get as many of these in as you can. We have
Absolutely, I
negotiation.
can do Wednesday, but then Thursday I've got a closing, so at 2 o'clock in Rochester.
Do what you can.
Cancel the closing.
Maybe do the listing appointment. Do the listing one, maybe do the buying one. Negotiations is a real good one.
Okay.
Contract to close, those type of things. Especially as new agents, a lot of us, I didn't know what contract to close looked like. I mean, we get them in contract, we're in contract, right? I didn't know I had to order title. I didn't know that I had to talk to the loan officer. I didn't know I had to do all these things.
That's where your mentor, if you've got a mentor, it's been
Priceless.
phenomenal.
Absolutely.
Yeah, phenomenal,
These are people that'll help you.
right.
So, these classes will also help you.
Right.
And just as an inside note, we're trying to get a trans coordinator in the office. It'll be for a fee, but we'll put that in your client's fee and your client. So we are working on getting a trans coordinator for contract to close for all of us. So for us that can't have leverage of having our own assistant, we'll have one in-house. So we're working on it. All right, let's close it up. Any questions, answers, statements, anything?
That's very good.
This is a great turnout too, by the way. I really want to thank everybody for investing in their business and making themselves open for this. Thank you very much. Yes.
This is probably my 5th. I've been at Kelly's for 4 years. This is on my 5th and 9th. So I appreciate you showing it, and it's, you know, every time I come and there's a different instructor, I learn something different.
I appreciate you coming, thank you. I'm glad that you all showed up. I don't do it to the book like they want me to, because I think it's kind of dry and boring.
You customize it.
That's why we all showed up. Keep things exciting, Joe.
Customize, right? Because I internalize, memorize, and customize.
Also you, is you.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. And you're out early, we'll make it out early. Oh, who's getting the one thing?
Yeah.
Okay. Because like with us, it's gonna be 30 days later, so now the seller and the buyer have a key exchange. Like, I guess we don't have to do that, but the other agent was saying that they would appreciate it.
Yeah, no, we did occupancy to